Hey guys! Jamy Catalyst here with a review for the Triple S League. This is the Outlast 2 review. Outlast 2 is the anticipated sequel to the successful first Outlast game and its DLC, Whistleblower. Like the first game, Outlast 2 is a single-player first-person terror experience dealing with survival and psychological horror. It's developed and published by the indie group Red Barrels and it runs on Unreal Engine 3. Like its predecessor, it deals with dark material and holds an M rating proudly. It has sexual content, nudity, violence, and gore. These are mostly normal things to expect from a horror game, but it wouldn't be Outlast if it didn't kick things up a notch. This game is dark. It far surpasses how dark the first game was. Outlast 2 goes into territory that many people cannot stomach. There are mentions of rape, child killing, skinning people, flaying people alive, suicide, bodily mutilation, animal mutilation, and much more. And if you're sensitive about anything religious, you might not be able to play this game. It talks heavily about Catholic and Christian beliefs as well as those beliefs becoming twisted by one man to suit his own ends. In my opinion, the warning at the beginning of this game was not anywhere near detailed enough. The atmosphere of this game is what you would expect from Outlast. The stabs of music make your heart rate pick up, makes you want to just run for forever. When it gets quiet, you feel like you're walking on eggshells, that at any second, something's going to happen. It truly gives Outlast a sharp edge that makes for a truly terrifying and chilling experience. Not to mention the sound effects are crisp and clean. Wearing headphones while playing this game is almost a must, just so you can experience how good and detailed the sound effects are. In my opinion, the gameplay has been greatly improved. Let's talk about the camera first. It wouldn't be an Outlast game without a good camcorder camera. In Outlast 2, it seems a lot more like you have a real camera in your hands. You can use the microphone on it to help you find enemies or hear what someone is saying. You can take pictures of documents to save for later. You record only certain instances that are necessary. And finally, just like last time, the night vision on your camera is your best friend. This time, instead of going into a menu to read documents, you open up your camera and look through its pictures and video log. I loved this new added mechanic. It seems like it made the game far more immersive. And remember, batteries are lifesavers. Also, just like in the first Outlast, there are some sequences that are tedious and stressful. If you can't stand stressful situations or lots of frustration, you might not enjoy this game. When you're being chased down, if you can't find the exact path you need to take, and quickly, you will die. If you get tripped up and don't run fast enough, you will die. If you can't find a hiding spot while not being seen, you will die. There are some sequences I had to do over and over and over again because the path or direction I needed to take was hard to find. You really need to be able to handle the pressure and look around with sharp eyes sometimes to spot what you need to do or where you need to go. Otherwise, you will die. Another new thing I like is the deadbolts. You can jump into a house, close all the windows, lock all the doors, and hide under the bed or in the closet. No, locking the door doesn't keep them out permanently, but it does give you a decent amount of time to hide. Last new thing is now there's a sort of Far Cry style healing system. If you have some bandages, you can patch yourself up a bit, just enough to allow you to start running again. So for the controls, you have 5 different controller button maps to choose from. You have Default, where the Run and Look Behind You buttons are swapped from the original. Then you have Classic, where those 2 buttons are set up back the way they should be. Classic worked perfectly for me. Plus there's Cautious, Lefty, and Retro. I don't know about the keyboard and mouse controls, but the controls I did mess with were very smooth and responsive. Let me tell you about the graphics. They are damn pretty. The main characters you see have a lot of detail to them, and the environment ranges from beautiful to terrifying. At one point, I was rowing a boat in the middle of a lake, and I looked up at the moon, and the view was breathtaking. Some of the more generic NPCs you come across aren't as detailed as the main characters, but they still look pretty good. I am glad, however, very, very glad, that a lot of the gore you see isn't quite as realistic looking as the scenery or characters. I feel like if it had been, it might have made me throw up. The lighting was also spectacular. This is one of those games that if you stand in the lighting just right, you'll see dust particles. And I've always thought that was a really cool detail in any game. The shadows can be a little wonky sometimes, and there's a bit of clipping, maybe 3 or 4 times out of the whole game. But other than that, things look great. There's a lot of little details here and there to catch, like in the first Outlast, but I think to a higher degree. As the game goes on, your character starts to look worse and worse. At first, he's just covered in dirt, then cuts, then stabs, and just goes on and on. By the end of the game, he looks terrible, but I feel that's a good detail to have. Adds more to the immersion, makes you think more about the heavy consequences of what's happening. It feels like you're playing a real person, a person who's not some unstoppable juggernaut of power that levels up and heals in a snap. You're playing someone who's in over their head and is seriously getting hurt. To me, it makes me worry about this character more. Also in this Outlast, we hear from the protagonist we play as, Blake. And to me, the voice acting is top notch. Not just from Blake, but from all the characters. The one annoyance with voice acting I had was that there was this one lady following me around that said the same thing over and over and over again for a little bit. I just wanted to punch her so bad, but I really liked hearing Blake's opinion on things and reactions. Blake keeps having some of the most vivid flashbacks about his time in Catholic school, and an event that still haunts him. It again truly nailed in the fact that he's a real person in this terrible situation that just wants to find his wife and go home. Then probably schedule several years worth of therapy. Two investigative journalists hear about this impossible murder and want the scoop. Lynn is the beautiful, tough action journalist that's Blake's wife. Blake is the cameraman, who doesn't seem anywhere near as tough as Lynn, and who should also get contact lenses. I mean, for crying out loud, he loses his glasses several times. Anyway, the village you find yourself in is full of heavily religious zealots who have put all their faith into this one guy named Noth. Noth has to be one of the most disgusting, vile antagonists I've ever seen in a video game. He does some extremely messed up shit. Somehow he's convinced these people that among them is someone who will birth the Antichrist. Because of this, they've all become paranoid fanatics who pretty much kill all their children. So I'm not giving anything else away, but what I will say is nothing is as it seems here in this place. Shocker, right? You'll learn pretty quickly that there's several layers of things that are going on here. If you pay attention to things being said, you catch a lot of hints and clues. But your biggest help solving this mystery is the notes you find. These are all pretty important and help paint the picture of what's going on. I became determined to rescue Lynn and figure out what was really going on. My feelings went between feeling bad for these people and wanting to help them, to wanting to burn their entire village to the ground along with them with it. The latter came first. There are some terrifying creatures in this game, and to me it was truly a chilling horror experience. It's also a little mentally scarring, to be honest. The darker parts of this game come on strong, and many will not be able to play or stomach its material, but the story does become very interesting, and really pulled me in. In short, this game has a dark, but interesting plot. It's beautiful, the gameplay is great, controls are smooth, and there's some awesome new mechanics, but it can be stressful and frustrating. Finding the right path can be hard, and having to try and figure out a way around certain enemies is tedious. I did enjoy my time with the game, but I wonder at what cost. Anyway, I'm giving this game a 7 out of 10, and I'm unsure of whether to recommend it or not. I guess now that I've properly warned you about it, it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to take that chance. I hope this review was helpful. Stay safe, and good night.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and sub. This review was written and recorded by Jamy Catalyst. She's got a Let's Play of this game and tons of others up on her YouTube channel. Indie games, horror games, dating sims. She's nuts, and we love her here at the SSS League. The adpocalypse is upon us. It's a tough time for YouTubers right now, so we've set up a Patreon for those who are able to help us weather the storm. We're so grateful to all of our subscribers and fans. Keep on being awesome out there.